What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing a little maintenance on my John Deere D160 riding lawnmower. And what we're going to be doing today is basically rebuilding the deck. And mainly what I'm referring to are the idler pulleys, the spindles, spindle pulleys, brand new blades, and so forth. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's get it done. Okay, so as I said before, this is my John Deere D160 riding lawnmower. It does have a 48-inch deck. Now, this particular mower is probably several years old, and I have replaced the blades a couple times over the several years because they do take a beating, but I have not replaced anything else. So I just pulled the deck off. I just went underneath and pressure washed everything to get all of the old dried up grass, mud, and dirt and gunk off of there. If we drop it down, okay, I pressure washed the whole top of the deck, get that nice and clean. And I did take this pulley off already because that's where my problem was. Now, reasons why you might want to replace all of your pulleys and spindles and everything like that is because you might be experiencing some issues with your riding mower. So for example, your grass might not be cutting even anymore. You might have a lot of vibration when running the mower because maybe the spindles are slightly bent. You might be dealing with issues where your belt keeps popping off and you don't know why. You could have issues with your actual idler pulleys here, which was really the issue I was having. So every so often, these parts will wear out, and it is good to replace them all with brand new, and it's not that expensive and it's not that hard to do. If we come over here, this is the idler pulley that I was having an issue with, and as you see here, the bearings are shot. That right there is wiggling around to where over here, when that's sitting like that, look how much that wobbles. So what was happening is, if you see right here, so right here I can't get my finger out between there, right? But if it wiggles up, my finger can pop right through. And that's what my belt was doing. The bearings were shot on this idler pulley here to where it just kept popping the belt off. And once I took the bolt off, I noticed that the bearings were shot. Now, yes, you might be able to find bearings out there to replace this, but I didn't want to go through that hassle because it's getting pretty beat up and old, and I just wanted to get something new. So, if you come over here, you'll see I have a lot of parts that I picked up off of Amazon that I'm going to be using to rebuild the deck. And here are the idler pulleys. Now, I bought these in a kit of 3. So, I got these 3 and an additional belt. It came in a kit. I did go ahead and buy a new deck lift bolt here that goes in the very front of your deck just because mine was getting pretty beat up. I bought another one. I bought a 3-pack of these blades here, which are, again, way cheaper than buying a set of 3 blades at your local Lowe's store or something like that. Then over here are the new spindles, which is what your blades are attached to. So you have 3 spindles on the D160. It has 3 blades. So you have 3 spindles that move your 3 blades. And then you'll have the pulleys that go to the spindles. But I got these 3 spindles with a new belt as one bundle, and I bought those separately. But I didn't really need all these belts because the belt that I have on there now is really not that old. So theoretically, I got 2 additional belts as backup over here. But I got all of this stuff for probably around 150 bucks. It's not that expensive. So again, after you take your spindle guards off and take your belt off, take off the bolts from your pulleys, and we're gonna start ripping all those pulleys out, which are pretty simple. They just take the bolt off the top and they pop off. I've already taken those off, and then this one's taken off here. So that would be your 3 idler pulleys right there. Then we have to take the spindle pulleys off, which again, pretty simple. So let me start working on taking some of these parts off, and then we're gonna go ahead and start putting the new parts back on. So let me work on that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just took the first blade off. Again, very simple to take off. I'm just using a 24 mil socket, and I'm just using a block to stop the blade from spinning. And then I'm just putting the socket on there. Go ahead and just put some pressure on it by hitting it with your palm, or use a rubber mallet if it's really, really tight. But once you break that nut loose, the nut pops right off. But I wanted to show you this real quick, that if you look here, I don't know if you can kind of see that, my whole spindle here is actually shaking and moving, which is also part of why I was dealing with some vibrations when running this mower. So when you start running into some issues with your riding mower and you're running into a lot of these symptoms, it's probably best to just replace it all. It's not that expensive, and give yourself that peace of mind knowing that you have a safer, more reliable mower. So let me continue taking these off, and then we're gonna start removing all of the pulleys and spindles. So I'll be right back. So again, when it comes to taking off your idler pulleys, it's very simple. You just take the nut off the top and the pulley pops right off. Super simple and easy. When it comes to taking apart your spindles, what I like to use is a 22 millimeter socket on my impact gun, okay? Then I'll take a large screwdriver and jam it through one of these holes down to where I could grab something that can stop this pulley from spinning. And then put my impact wrench on the top. Okay. Take that big large nut off. And then if your pulley's kind of jammed on there, you can take a rubber mallet, give it a couple taps like that, and it pops right off. Then take your impact wrench, swap it out for a smaller socket, which this I believe is just a 10 millimeter socket. Take out the 4 bolts. Okay. There you go. Now your spindle is completely released, so once we lift the deck up, we'll pull it out the bottom. So I already did the middle one. I just showed you how to do the right one. I got to do one more over here. Then what I'm going to do is clean everything off, and we're going to start putting the new ones in. So let me do this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So I went ahead and I just propped up my deck just using a wood block here. Then we're going to take our new spindles here, and as you can see here, they have your Zerk fitting here that you could grease. So what we're going to do is this part here that has that little star pattern at the bottom, that goes underneath the deck. So you're going to slide this whole spindle from underneath the deck up through the top, just like this. And then there's actually a little groove around the edge right here where my thumb is that seats right into the edge of this opening. So you're going to take your spindle, put it up here wherever you want, but you need to line it up to where you can line up the holes just like that. Then they come with new bolts. Throw a little blue Loctite in there, bolt them down, and you'll be good to go. Once I get all 3 spindles installed, we're going to go underneath and install our new blades. So let me do that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I finished the center spindle and put the top pulley on top, and I put a side spindle in and put the pulley on top. I'm working on the last spindle right here. Now, quick tip, there are Zerk fittings on each one of these spindles to grease them, so you want to make sure that you rotate the spindle in a position to where you have best access for those Zerk fittings. So like this one here, I wouldn't face the Zerk fitting back here where all this stuff is because it might be hard to get my grease tube through there. So I faced this one off to the side. That one over there, I faced kind of off towards the back. And this one here, I'm facing out the back this way, which I think you can see right there. So it's kind of facing over here at a low spot of my deck so I could get to it with my grease gun. So I would just make sure that when you stick it in from the bottom, rotate it to where your Zerk fitting is easily accessible, and then go ahead and bolt it down. Once you're done doing that, rip off your top rubber cap from the top over here. Then you want to go ahead and take your new spindle pulley, and you're going to face it to where the concave part that goes down is facing up, just like that. Go ahead and drop it on, lock it in place. Then you're going to grab your old nut. Okay, throw a little blue Loctite on there, and then you're going to take your screwdriver again, drop it through the hole, down into a place down below so that you can tighten down your nut on the top and it won't keep spinning. So let me go ahead and throw the last nut on that pulley, and then this top part here will be primarily done. Then we're going to flip the deck up. We're going to mount our new blades on the bottom. Once we're done with that, we're going to work on our idler pulleys, and then we'll get this all wrapped up. So let me finish that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the next step, once you have your spindles installed, then we got to go ahead and put our new blades on. So once you take your blades out of the package, they should be labeled grass side. So that means this side here that I'm touching with my thumb is facing out away from the deck. And then they have this star pattern here that fits around that groove of that star pattern there. So what you're going to do is go ahead and take off your rubber cap off the bottom, then go ahead, slide your new blade on. It locks right into that star groove pattern like that. Then take one of your existing washers, go ahead and put those on like that. and then grab one of your existing nuts, put a little blue Loctite on the threads. Again, you don't need much. Go ahead, bolt that down, just like that. Tighten it down nice and tight. Do the same thing on all 3 blades, and then we'll be done on the bottom. So let me finish that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're all done putting on our new blades. And I gotta say, I really like this green powder coat. It just looks really cool. But again, we have them installed on our brand new spindles. We have our thick washers back on there, and we have our nuts tightened down with a little blue Loctite, so everything is good to go. Now, we can go ahead, drop the deck back down, and start working on our idle pulleys, which are very, very simple to do. All you have to do is take your large idle pulley here, and to my knowledge, I don't think there's a top and a bottom, so just go ahead and stick it on however you want. So the large one is gonna go on this spring-loaded bracket right here, just like that. Your smaller ones are gonna go over here on this one. The other one is gonna slide over there on that one. You're gonna go ahead and use the factory flange style lock nuts that you took off, put them back on, tighten them all up, and then we're basically done. Now, if you happen to have any other damaged parts, like this bracket right here, if you need to replace that, go ahead and replace it. You unhook your spring, take your bolt out, put your new bracket on, put your bolt back in. If you need a new spring, go ahead and put your spring on. It just clips on there and clips on there. So again, very simple. But before I go ahead and tighten down all 3 nuts on my idle pulleys, I'm gonna go ahead and install my belt. Now, I didn't replace my belt because this belt is only a couple months old and it's still in pretty good condition. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reuse it, and I'll save those 2 newer ones as backups. But you wanna go ahead and put your belt onto your pulleys first, and then go ahead and tighten down your idle pulleys. And the reason I say that is because while you have these nuts off, you can actually lift the pulleys up to tuck your belt in between the pulley and your stop brackets all the way around. So let me start doing that real quick, and I'll come back and I'll show you. So I'll be right back in a second. Okay, so we went ahead and put our belt back on our deck before we put our nuts on our idle pulleys. So usually what I do is I start with a far pulley way off to the left, and I go ahead and wrap it across the back, around the spindle pulley over here. It comes around here. Now this is where I'm saying is this belt has to go between the pulley and the stop bracket. So when you have the nuts off, you can just go ahead and lift it up to tuck your belt in there, and then drop it back down in position, and then we'll bolt it back down. And then it comes out here. Then from around this spindle pulley here, we're gonna come around the front, around this pulley, behind this bracket, around this spindle pulley, around these 2 brackets, and then come back through in the front. And then usually what I do is I just take the excess hoop and I just hook it around this front here so that the belt doesn't fall off. So now that we have the belt installed where we need it, now all I have to do is put my nuts back on with some blue Loctite, mount the deck back to the D160, and we should be good to go. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're all done. We pretty much replaced all of the main components on our 48-inch deck on my John Deere D160 lawn tractor. And again, as I just showed you, it's not that hard. It's very simple and easy. I did go ahead and replace this bolt right here because my last one was getting pretty bent up and out of shape. So I just put a new one on, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So let's go ahead and start it up real quick. Okay, so we're good. We're running. But what I'll do real quick is I'll drive out in the field, we'll cut a quick pass, and we'll see how it looks. So let's go do that now. Okay, so as you can see right here, the grass is pretty high. It's definitely due to be cut, but because I had some issues with my deck, that's why I haven't cut it. So now let's give it a try. So let's go ahead and make sure we're on 3. I usually cut everything on 3. Engage our blades. Let's give it a try. let's take a quick look at how the blades did. As you can see here, this is what the grass looked like, nice and high, and that's what it looks like on a number 3. Again, everything looks to be cut pretty even. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot missed. So yeah, it's doing pretty good, pretty happy with it. So there you go, everybody. So if you're having issues with your mower deck, meaning your grass cut itself is not very nice anymore, you're getting a lot of vibration, your belt keeps slipping and popping off, your spindles or your pulleys are wobbling around making a lot of noise and vibration, it's probably time to replace all of that. And as I just showed you, it's not that hard and it's not that expensive. So if you are interested in any of these products, I'll put links to them all in the description of this video so you can go check them out for yourself. But if you're in need of replacing a lot of your mower deck components, I highly recommend checking out these products because they work great, they're easy to install, and I'm really happy with them overall. But there you go. So that's going to be it for today's video. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and like this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And also do me a favor, subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. So that's it. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. I truly appreciate you all. And as always, see you in the next video.